Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew and today I'm finally reviewing it. The S.H. MonsterArts King Ghidorah 1991 original version. This is not a bootleg. This is not the special color version. This is indeed the original version. I honestly cannot believe I'm actually able to hold this thing in person and actually be the one to say that I own it. Because for the longest time, I've always wanted a Ghidorah figure that was in scale with my other ones. However, the only thing I had was this. I don't want to sound ungrateful for the things I've gotten, but my mere comparison, it was this small little Ghidorah that was part of a bootleg set, and it was cool. But then I upgraded to a Bandai King Ghidorah that was about 6 inches, but it still wasn't in scale with the other characters that I had over the years. And then I got the Mezco Showa Ghidorah, which was a bit smaller than that of the Bandai Ghidorah, but it had the gravity beams and it was a bit more expressive. And for the longest time, that was the one I had up until today, where I managed, well, actually, a few days ago, where I managed to find a good deal for this thing, along with an Ultima and a NECA Godzilla 2014. So that's what we're going to be reviewing today. I honestly cannot believe I'm about to do this, so let's go ahead and get right into the review. Starting off with the molds of the heads, I honestly think that they are in fact the same mold. The horns do look a bit curved more on this one, but that just could be because of the way it was packaged when the seller of mine first got it. Moving the head slightly. There we go. Yeah, they're essentially all the same, but to kind of summarize, they have a very serpentine looking eye that has the standard slitted eye with almost a dark mustard honeydill type color of an iris, and then has the signature gold that you find on the body with all these different bumps and crevices that actually looks like actual gold. And then you have the smaller ridges on the horns, and then you kind of get to the the nostrils and the nose, which I think are done pretty well. I think overall, especially the shining it gives off with this particular release, it's certainly really well done. And even opening up the mouth, let's actually take the mouth and open it up here. We have such great detailing in here. It almost looks like a miniature version of the puppet they used in the movie. We have individually sculpted teeth, which are single road, so that it's accurate to the film. We have the canines, fangs, of course, and then we have the signature red tongue, which is a much more basic plastic. Honestly, it kind of looks like the plastic they use on the Baby Bell cheese things. Um, that's kind of what it looks like to me. But I mean, it's fine and dandy. It's a tongue, so it's not necessarily the biggest break it or leave it. Kind of take it or leave it kind of deal. But it is really well done on the gums and the top of the mouth and the just pretty much the red detailing is just done so well. And I also like the tiny bits of black highlights within the teeth. You can kind of see it on the base of them a little bit. It's a little hard to tell, but the lips have a bit of a darker wash compared to the rest of the body, which I think is a really well done touch. But you can kind of see it on the top row, especially that just looks phenomenal. Moving on down to the necks of Ghidorah, you can definitely see where it's pretty much the same thing across all three of the heads. So pretty much speaking, the spikes of the back of the heads are really done nicely. I don't really have a whole lot of scuffs. There's a mild scuff on this spike. You can't really see it on camera. Just right here. Can't really show. Kind of see it right at the tip of my finger. There's a mild scuff there, but I mean, it's alright. We got nice ridges here going on the top, and it goes all the way to where the head meets the neck. Sorry, the head. Yeah, where the head plugs into the neck, and it goes all the way down until it hits the chest. So we got a nice bit of kind of ridges and kind of down, pretty much going all the way down. I think I would have liked to see a bit more yellow variety. Maybe if this was a darker yellow, or maybe even a bit of a lighter yellow. But again, it's accurate to the film because Ghidorah wasn't really the most colorful in said movie. really the only color he really did have was the gold, and it wasn't until Mecha Ghidorah or Mecha King Ghidorah, sorry, Mecha Ghidorah is its own character. Mecha King Ghidorah was like much more colorful in that sense. Moving on down to the chest, we actually get a bit more of that kind of signature scaly detail that's shaped like diamonds, and then they kind of like overlap each other. And we can definitely see like the where it plugs into the neck, and it turns out that these two, they're not breasts. They're actually just two mini rib cages. So Ghidorah apparently has two mini rib cages. Yikes, that is scary to think about. But like King Ghidorah's anatomy aside, we can definitely see like a lot of the more like detailing going down to where the belly button would be. But Ghidorah doesn't really have one, and we kind of get some more of that with the legs going down here. Again, not like much any color variety. It's all one color, but that one color really pops with how reflective it is, and I definitely appreciate it a lot because of how much like detail and such went into this thing. Because if you just take your finger and glide over it, it feels like one of those pillows that you can like brush, or like the material you can brush and then it'll change color, brush again and it'll change another color. You probably get what I'm talking about. But like they're on pillows, I think some of them are clothing. You get what I'm talking about. Next, we got the feet, and they definitely got that four kind of toes nailed down correctly, and I definitely do like what they did here. Again, probably would have liked some maybe painted nails, like again, maybe a lighter color, because I do like color variety, but again, hey, it's not the worst thing in the world. Personally, I am a fan of how it's sculpted, and it feels really rough to the touch, and that's honestly the way it should be. Let's move on to the wings. And I have to say, the wings are done really well on this guy. I honestly was speculating that this thing would have come with like some sort of chipped like horn, but no, over the years this thing survived. I say that, and then tomorrow I'm gonna drop this thing like an idiot, and I'm gonna be the first one to break this thing. But of course, we've got all the amazing gold like coloring and just the absolute beautiful folds in the skin, and it just the transition from like the gold skin to like the membranes in between the wings, and it just looks so great. And I'm really impressed with how like realistic in the sense that this looks like an actual puppet, like an actual scale replica, not two scale, but a smaller scale replica of the puppet they used in the film to fight Godzilla in the with he was in the suit, of course. But this thing just looks so good. Maybe they could like maybe make another figure where they have like the battle damage the wings where Godzilla blasts him away. And lastly, we're going to take a look at the tails, which again have quite a bit of detail to them. Tail. Yeah, I know I'm not the first one to make that joke. But going up, like these things are longer tails than I thought they would be initially. Because you got all that signature detail where they come from one base and then spin off into like two different tails, which I do appreciate, and how like long and tall they are, and like looking at the little end spikes, like the little clubs, I suppose they could be. I'm trying not to think about the MonsterVerse one where they like shake it. You know, the Heisei Ghidorah never did that like a snake, but they definitely look the part. And I honestly have to say that these things, if Ghidorah actually bothered to use these as weapons, they could have done some serious damage. But enough about the film. This these spikes are actually pretty pointy. In fact, all the spiky parts on this thing are in fact actually kind of spiky. So just be worrisome. On my wing back here, there is a bit of like gunk. I'm not sure what it is. It's probably dust. Because let's be real here, my 2014 came with dust. So, but back to the tails. They're long, they're really prehensile, and I like the way they look. I wouldn't really ask for anything more, because again, they did what they did with the source material, and it looks great. So overall, for sculpting paint, I have to give it to Ghidorah. He's really, really solid. Again, I probably would have liked some more color variation, but given the movie design and how it was in the film, it's very movie accurate, so I have to give it at least that. Maybe if, like, I think the only thing I probably would have added maybe are a bit of more highlights on the face, for example, but aside from that, it's perfect the way it is. Again, I'm probably just looking too much for color variety because Ghidorah is just primarily one color. But again, looks the part, and I have to give it to Ghidorah. He's rock solid. Next up, we have posability. Ooh, yes. Articulation. We've got a lot to go over, so let's go ahead and, go over it. We're going to take a look at, well, I guess would be Kevin, the head, of course. For the jaw, we have pretty much an articulated jaw. We have ball joint here. Moves pretty well, I have to say, although a little too well. I don't know why it goes side to side and twists like you. That's not how it. I mean, it's kind of how a jaw functions. It's able to go not just up and down, but also kind of side to side. But realistically, you just need this. So yeah, it's on a ball joint. The tongue. Initially, I thought it moved, but it doesn't. It's big enough for a peg, but there is no peg. That is obviously just glued in. Now let's talk about the head. There, at first, I thought it didn't move at the base of the head and was only movable here, but there's actually a mild ball joint right where the head plugs into the first neck segment. And then from there you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 segments. So that's 11 segments per neck, I do believe, because they're all about the same length. So that's 11 segments. So just for like wide shots, as far as like the neck goes, you can move back about this far. Yeah, back about this far. Shimmying it all the way down about this. Oh crap! This far down, and you can go left, can go right, and pretty much do all the stuff you need a Ghidorah head to do. And all the others can do the same exact thing, have the same range of motion, and yeah, basically have that times 3. So there's pretty much no shortage when it comes to the amount of posability on the necks. For the waist, moving Ghidorah's heads up, we actually do have a bit of a ball joint. However, you don't get too much range out of it. You can get a little mild up and down and a little side to side. There's more of a swivel than anything, but there's no like hunch. So I mean, kind of get a little rocker, but it's nothing you should be like really pushing. For the legs, you can get a little up and down, little rotation, but it's super strict. The knee is really where it's at when it comes to the movement. So you can kind of bend in about that far, bend out about that far. In the foot, you can kind of like shimmy it back and forth, get a decent mild pivot, and it's basically rotation. And even though Ghidorah never really used his legs as much, say, like the MonsterVerse Ghidorah does, I honestly have to say that I get the earlier figures, but they kind of should have gave us like a bit more posability. Like I would say, do what NECA did and just give us like pretty much one that acts like a disc, like going inside the socket and rearranging it. For the wings, not too much movement. We can kind of go in and out like this, and we have a bit of in and out as well, pushing it as far as you can go. You can go in about that far and flap outwards about that far, although you do have to kind of like fiddle with the hinge. And lastly, we're going to take a look at the tails, and we count, well, there's 2 tails, of course, and each of them are filled to the brim with segments. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 segments. I may have missed one, but 16 segments per tail. And this is, again, a long prehensile tail. So you'll be able to get like these things holding great poses, even kind of like wrapping them around each other, which I think is absolutely amazing. So as far as the articulation goes, not to the accessories just yet, just in a sec, The articulation is rock solid. I have to give Bandai some props to this. When they were really in the effort of making some good articulated Godzilla figures, they were putting out some really good, highly articulated Godzilla figures. And this Ghidorah really showcases just how well they really did. With the exception of the legs, which I think could be a little bit better, but hey, it's like over a decade old, so I'll give it a pass. Now, in the way of accessories, we have the gravity beams. Honestly, I find it so surreal that I'm actually able to hold the gravity beams because, again, this figure is like so highly sought after, and seen so many photos of this thing, and like I wanted it for years, but I'm finally holding it. The only downside is that there's no stands with this one because the original did come with stands. Mine did not because the original seller that I bought this from apparently bought this used. So someone bought it used, and then I bought this used. So it's a miracle that's even survived all of the years. Anyway, how you attach the beams? Essentially, it would have been like a Tamashi stand. I'm not sure what version of the stand it is, but whatever. Now, how you peg it in, well, there's really no way to peg it in, but essentially what you do is you take the stands, right? And they have these little, not clamps, but little things that, like, pretty much hold the beam on. So, let's say my fist is the beam, and this would be the cradle. It cradles. It cradles the beam. And from what I hear, it's a balancing act, so pretty much speaking, there's no way to actually like hold the beam in, although that looks already cool as it already is. But unfortunately, I can't really hold it up without the beams, so I don't really display it with the beams. However, if you do need a custom stand, link in the description on how to make your own custom stand. It's a bit older of a video, I think back in 2021 or 2, but it's essentially just of how to make your own stand. But discussing like the sculpted details on them, they actually do feature, I do believe, the same mold, but modified each and every time. Because we see like here, we have like a bit of the same kind of webbing. You see like these two have like identical holes, but this one has like an extra piece, and this one has like a different piece there, and like they're the same exact length. I do believe the same exact length. Yeah, they do. And they all taper off almost identically, except this one has like a larger one back here. This one has the same thing but a bit smaller, and this one only has the two of them that end off the beam. So they are wait, hold up. Yeah, they do come. They are different, but they look identical. So there's really like no, this one belongs with this head, this one belongs with that head, this one belongs with that head. You really just that's not really what it's here. You can pretty much mix and match and don't really have to worry about anything. But what I do like, however, is that it's molded in a translucent yellow plastic with some darker yellows to lighter yellows, giving it a much more gradient-like effect, and it's very translucent. The one thing I was not expecting is just how bendy these things are. I thought these things were going to be like hard, rigid plastic, but no. These are actually very soft plastic, but I still wouldn't be opposed to bending this any more than it already is bent. So for some size comparisons, here he is next to some of NECA's Heisei Godzillas with the 94 and the 89, which, as far as like the 89 scaling, this isn't the worst. I feel like the 89 should be, well, actually, I think he's supposed to be a little shorter than he is right now, like as far as sheer scale goes. But this isn't really a bad setup. In fact, I kind of like it. And, you know, because this is the closest thing I have to a 91 Godzilla, I'm probably going to be displaying with him. Next, for some more size comparisons, here he is compared to what was my two largest King Ghidorahs at the time, prior to a few days ago, featuring the Mezco King Ghidorah from the Round 2 set from Destroy All Monsters, and here we have the Bandai Creation Bandai America King Ghidorah from 2001. And as you can see, this is a huge step up in quality from what I really needed. Because these two, they did their job on Tabagus. This gets the job scoringly awesome. Like, there's no contest. And I also have to say, right now, I'm honestly kind of considering it's making maybe like these two. They're nah, I don't think that'll actually happen. And for some more size comparisons, pulling my camera a bit more out, here he is compared to some other King Ghidorahs in my collection with the SDCC exclusive Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah set, battle box set, which is ironic because I gave him, I kind of heckled him for not being the 91 Ghidorah. Now I have the 91 Ghidorah. The U2's King Ghidorah, which is still up on their website, order while you still can, and the bootleg Panic and Destruction 4-pack Godzilla uh, King Ghidorah figure. And this was my first one, and now look where we're at. This is the perk of being a collector. It's kind of ironic that he's also bigger than all three of them combined. And here he is next to some other Ghidorah figures featuring the Deformation King, King Ghidorah from Godzilla King of the Monsters, and the tiny little blind bag Bandai mini King Ghidorah, which 91 to 91, huh? And here he is compared to all my other SH MonsterArts figures featuring 2001. 2001. This is 2001. I was looking at him when I pointed at him. 2001 Godzilla from Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah Giant Monster All Attack, aka GMK. Godzilla vs. Kong, and Godzilla Singular Point Godzilla Ultima. And as you can see, he towers over all of them. The Ultima's tail kind of outclasses everyone. And for the final size comparison, here he is next to the NECA Godzilla 2014 and the Playmates Godzilla 2004 from the Toho Classic series. This is still my all-time favorite figure in the entire collection. But yeah, I finally have these two together. At least I've wanted these two together. Because it just looks cool, in my opinion. And so, what do I overall think of this figure? Oh, figure. I don't know why I said so quietly. This thing is beautiful. Outright beautiful. Outstanding in so many different ways. I literally cannot believe I own this figure now. And, you know, I've wanted this thing, again, for years now. And to finally own it, oh man, I would have loved this thing back in the day. But really, I'm just blown away by this thing. I may not have all the pieces, because, like, I got the figure, got the beams, all three of them, as you probably saw earlier, but I don't have the stands, and while I can make do without the stands, honestly, again, I'm perfectly happy with what I purchased with. Do I recommend this figure to buy? No. Why? For a good reason. This thing is expensive. And I mean expensive. At retail, this thing was like $120, $130, I believe. That was just at mass retail. Like MSRP back in 2012, 2013, somewhere on there. And all these years later, you're going to be like, that's almost 14 years later. Wait. No, it's 12 years later. I'm an idiot. Well, let's just say 12 years later. 12 years later, this thing is going to go for high prices. If you're trying to get this one in specific, not the other variants. But I think that, because like, I got really, really fortunate with my purchase. I got mine used, and from what I know, I believe the seller's just trying to get rid of theirs for just extra space and just wants them out the door. So, I got it because of that. But not every collector in the world is going to be like that. And I personally feel like if you want a figure, if you find a seller that wants their figures gone, and this is one of them that they're selling, and it's actually in pretty good condition, actually scratch that. Even if it's like maybe broken, maybe it's got like a bit of horns, still pick it up. Okay? Pick it up. If it's functional the way this is, then you're gonna have a blast with this thing. I really think that you are gonna be a happy camper. If you want to buy, say, like another version, you basically have three other versions. You have the Mecha King Ghidorah, you have the special color version of this guy, and you have the Mecha King Ghidorah, I think the final battle version, or battle damaged version. And the special color variant, if you want like Ghidorah himself and the Mecha King Ghidorah, that one's a bit brighter. fixes some of the issues like the wings a little bit, and actually comes with everything this guy came with. Updated gravity beams, so it's not just the yellows, it's actually based on the poster, which is pink and blue, and also comes with a flight stand. That, or you could get that aforementioned bootleg 64 Ghidorah I kept seeing on AliExpress for quite some time. But again, maybe you can even get the MonsterVerse, or you can get the Haya Ghidorah. That's 1990, the 1991 design that's coming up for pre-order later this year. Actually, I think it's already out for pre-order, but it's all coming out later this year. So, but for me, I'm fine with this MonsterArts. This is the only one I need as far as like Heisei Ghidorah is. I don't really think I'm going to be able to top this one. And I don't think I even have enough room for another 91 Ghidorah, unless if it's like another minifigure. So, with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys liked it, definitely subscribe to the channel. Believe in Jesus. There's Lord's here today. It's really awesome. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out, everyone. God bless.